From MTN News, this is Montana This Morning.
I'm Jonathan Amberian at McDonald Pass. I'll give you the latest on a federal court ruling that's set to shorten the amount of time set for Montana's wolf trapping season.
I know you'd like to thank the landowner for allowing you to hunt on their private land. Fish, Wildlife, and Parks has made it even easier. I'm Chet Lehman. Coming up this week, we're going to talk to FWP about their thank you portal. It's even easier than airmail.
I'm Maggie Riley with MTN News. Coming up, I'll tell you how a local business has been servicing Great Falls and the surrounding community since 1911.
Alrighty, it is 6:31 on this Monday edition of Montana This Morning. Jay McDonald and Matt Elwell with you. A lot of traffic going through the Montana State University campus.
Those kids are ready. They're ready for school. They're so ready. They're up at 6:30 driving to class.
Yeah, that sounds about right. Probably going to go grab a coffee beforehand.
I believe that as far as I can throw that paper airplane.
I know. I was like, wait, did Chet watch one of our shows? We love tossing this around.
Temperatures this morning, single digits and teens. Looks like we're going to really see these temperatures take off as you head into the afternoon. Mostly sunny skies as we're going through the first part of the day. It is absolutely gorgeous this morning with the relatively clear conditions. Our daytime temperatures expected to be near 40 today. Wind speeds anywhere between 5 and 10 miles an hour, enough that the wind chill may be below zero in a couple of cases early this morning, but should warm nicely for the afternoon. I'm going to look at when exactly we see the potential of snow peeking back into our forecast. That's coming up in just a few minutes.
All righty, thank you very much, Matt. Now, our top story this half hour. That was not good at all, Matt. I gotta fold that again. Now, the Montana Department of Justice and the Attorney General's office is warning of scams this holiday season. Now, to prevent yourself from falling victim as you shop, the AG's office suggests verifying the company and ensuring that the website is secure before you pay. Use a credit card for online shopping so you can track your purchases and dispute any charges. And do not use wire transfers or gift cards to make payments. Now, Montanans can report any phone call, email, or mail scams to the Montana Department of Justice's office or to the Consumer Protection. And Montana's trapping season for wolves was set to open on Monday. But for now, it's on hold in much of the state after a federal judge's order this past week. MTN senior political reporter Jonathan Amberian breaks down the effects of that ruling.
Environmental groups sued earlier this year, claiming that Montana's wolf trapping regulations were reasonably certain to cause incidental harm to grizzly bears. In response, a federal district judge in Missoula ordered the trapping season to be significantly shortened to the time when almost all grizzlies are expected to be in their dens for winter. Judge Donald Malloy ruled the plaintiffs had established serious questions about the impact if the trapping season went forward as planned. He issued a preliminary injunction and ordered the season in much of the state to be limited to January 1st through February 15th. The ruling applies across western and central Montana, where the vast majority of wolf trapping occurs. This summer, the State Fish and Wildlife Commission adopted wolf trapping regulations with a season running from November 27th to March 15th, but with a floating start date in areas considered occupied grizzly habitat. So trapping wouldn't begin until Fish, Wildlife, and Parks reported bears were in their dens in those areas. The plaintiffs argued the state had underestimated the chance of bears getting accidentally caught in wolf traps. Malloy said those arguments were persuasive, and that changes to this year's regulations made the risk higher. Governor Greg Gianforte issued a statement defending the state's management of both species and calling Malloy's ruling judicial activism. The state has already appealed Malloy's decision, but the appeals court hasn't taken any action so far. FWP leaders say they're going to continue to track when grizzlies are denning, in case the injunction is overturned and the floating start date reinstated. At McDonald Pass, Jonathan Amberian, MTN News.
Thank you very much, Jonathan. Now, 3 Montana farmers are finding themselves inside a war zone. They've been in the country for a few weeks helping Israeli farmers, many of whom have been forced to leave their land. MTN's Charlie Kleps shares their story.
You've heard the saying before, not all heroes wear capes. And that's certainly the case in Israel right now, with several Montana farmers who work in fields just like this one across the state are coming to the rescue. We've all seen the disturbing sights and sounds of the war.
It was just completely brutal. Really, they're not saying it on the news because it's so bad.
But while most of us just hear about the violence in Israel, 3 Montana farmers are living it.
There's a certain sense of peace about it. I don't think any of us are scared or worried. It's like we know where we stand and we're standing strong in it.
The farmers, along with another from Arkansas, are a part of a program called Hyovel. It's existed in Israel for nearly 20 years and brings farmers to the area to help with whatever is needed.
Just kind of things that people don't necessarily think about that would be in trouble in these times.
A lot of the time, that's help harvesting crops or building fences. And it's help needed now more than ever, as the war has forced farmers into reserve positions within the nation's military.
It's not a walk in the park here. It's a pretty intense situation, so we want to make sure we're bringing guys that are well aware of what's going on.
Operating Director Joshua Waller recruited these 4 specifically. Each has volunteered in Israel before. In addition to helping farmers, Hyovel has also helped raise more than $2 million for Jewish villages to purchase everything from bulletproof jackets and helmets to drones in the fight against Hamas.
When Josh called, he said, if there's anywhere in the world that needs you right now, it's Israel. And so that pretty much settled it for me. I decided that I'm not going to ignore that.
A big decision. Ploker's family is back home in Hamilton. The Strain brothers are from near Augusta.
Well, there's definitely stuff back home that should be getting done. I mean, I have a lot of hay that should be getting sold. Yeah, we dropped what we were doing and came over as soon as we could.
I can speak for myself, and I think the rest of us, we feel safe, but there also is, you do feel the tension because at any moment, you know that you're surrounded by people who share the same thought process of the people that committed the attack on October 7th.
But it's a decision they all say is a no-brainer, a chance to help at a time when it's most needed.
A lot of people say that they support Israel and they care about the Jewish people and they're pro-Israel, but it's one thing saying it, it's another thing actually stepping up and doing it.
In Billings, Charlie Kleps, MTN News.
Now, when it comes to land, Montana is big, 4th largest state in the union, in fact. However, much of that land is privately owned, and that means when it comes to hunting access to that land, well, it requires permission. And this week, MTN's Chet Lehman talks with FWP about its new ways to say thanks to those who grant that permission.
A successful hunt requires being in the right place at the right time. When it comes to finding the right place, sometimes that requires an interaction with a private landowner.
There's a quote by Jim Posowitz that says, landowners are people just like everybody else. And if you as a hunter can be a positive part in their life, you'll have mastered the art of human relations and of finding good places to hunt.
Most hunters recognize the importance of that partnership. FWP certainly does, and that's why they've created a new tool to honor that partnership.
Fish, Wildlife, and Parks has a new portal online where you can submit basically a thank you message to landowners. You can identify who the landowner is, either it's through block management or some other identifier as to their name or where they are.
Jacobson says it's pretty simple. Go to the portal and leave your message. The more details, the better chance your note will get to where it's supposed to go.
Make sure that if you use this tool, you be as specific as you can as to who that landowner is, where you hunted, so that we can get that message to the right folks. So again, we're excited about this opportunity, and we hope that it fosters really good and sincere relations between hunters and landowners and everyone who benefits from this partnership.
Just for reference, about 65 million acres of Montana is privately owned, or about 65% of the entire state. This week, near Bozeman, Chet Lehman, MTN News.
Well, thank you very much, Chet, for sharing that story with us. Now, before we get to a break, Gerbers of Montana has been serving the Great Falls and surrounding communities since 1911. And for that reason, it's continued its success thanks to a man named Dan Brown. MTN's Maggie Riley has his story.
Gerbers of Montana got its name in 1967, but don't be fooled because it's been servicing the Great Falls and surrounding communities since 1911. Dan Brown, the current owner of Gerbers of Montana, first started working for the company in 1976. Brown was promoted to manager in 1985 and became owner after purchasing the business in 1988.
It's been really fun to see the generational changes over the years. We're actually, in my career, we're on the 3rd generation, especially for a lot of the farmers.
Strong Scott Manufacturing out of Minneapolis, Minnesota wanted a presence further west in the United States. So in 1911, they started Strong Scott of Montana in Great Falls. That lasted until 1967, when Gerber Industries purchased the branch and renamed it Gerbers of Montana.
We serve primarily the grain and feed industry in the Triangle and the Highline area.
Gerber specializes in fabrication, machining, parts distribution, and so much more. Design is another specialty within Gerbers that lies primarily in the brain of Dan Brown.
He has so many formulas and drawings and designs in his head that any customer can call with the most random questions that you can even begin to fathom how to solve, and he knows the answer.
Brown states he has an aptitude for design since he has no formal schooling. Employees insist he's being modest.
I designed and we built the 3 of the largest distributors, which is a piece of equipment that distributes grain to different bins and that have ever been built. They're in Montana.
All electric, 40,000 bushel an hour distributors designed in Brown's head at 6 o'clock in the morning over a cup of joe.
a lot of coffee involved.
With so much knowledge only stored between his 2 ears, employee Jill Tranmer spends every day learning as much as she can. However, Dan has no plans to retire anytime soon.
His work ethic, his knowledge, his passion, I hope I can continue that on and grow what he's already been successful in and take it a little bit further in this new world that we're in.
Well, it's clear. Gerbers would not be what it is or where it is today without Dan Brown.
Dan does everything for everyone around him, whether it be employees, customers, anyone.
In Great Falls, Maggie Riley, MTN News.
Now we're going to take that break, but when we come back, holiday season, well, it can be expensive. So how do you know if you're saving your money right?
I'm John Mattery. Some great ways to be festive this holiday season without draining your bank account. That story coming up.